So we're all good.
Awesome. Okay, Marcette, go ahead.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so excited. Just a little bit about myself. I have been using essential oils for about 2 years now. And I've been using essential oils in particular for helping deal with seasonal changes and the effects from that for about 1.5 years now. And my goal today is to have you guys leave this class knowing 3 oils in particular that would be your first line of defense for any seasonal changes and the symptoms therefrom, and how easy it is to use them. That's my main goal. So why am I talking about allergies and why do I feel like I can? I lived in Florida for about 12 years. We've moved a lot, but I lived here for about 12 years, moved, came back. And during that whole time, those 12 years, I suffered personally from allergies. I was basically year round. There was only about 3 months where I didn't suffer. And I would try all different kinds of allergy medicines, over the counter things. And I was like a zombie. If you ask my husband, he'd be the first person to tell you she was a zombie. No matter what I took, it all made me sleepy. I would fall asleep on the sofa at about 8 o'clock at night, and I would be dragging myself out of bed at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I would barely be able to get out of bed. So it was just no fun. And so actually when we moved, I was like, oh, finally I get rid of these allergies. And it's still bad in other places, but we moved to cold places. So it wasn't all year round. When we moved back to Florida, I knew it was going to be bad again. Usually your first year, you get away with it not being too bad. But your second year, I was getting ready to expect the worst. And I got turned on to essential oils by Amanda. And I have been over-the-counter allergy medicine free personally for these last 2 allergy seasons. So 2 years now, I have not needed to take anything for allergies. So I feel like I have to share it with people because it's amazing. I've gone from being a zombie with symptoms still, because no matter what I took, I still had breakthrough symptoms. So I went from being a zombie with symptoms to being almost 100% symptom free and not being a zombie. I still have to work on my sleep, but I'm tired for different reasons now. So I hope, like I said, to show you guys what I have done and what has worked for me. So again, my goal is for you guys to remember 3 oils that you can use as your front line of defense. But in light of that, why don't you guys, wherever you guys are, grab an oil. This is my first line of defense. Grab an oil if you have an oil in your home. If you don't have them yet, don't worry about it. I will talk to you about how to get these into your home, but go ahead and share an oil experience with me. I'm going to take my little roller bottle, and the way I prefer to use mine is I just throw some on my wrist, rub my wrist together, and just for fun, I like to take my little roller bottle and just go like, just do the tip of it and put a little bit on my nose. And we'll talk more about what I'm doing when I do all that in a couple of minutes. But as you guys are enjoying that, let me go ahead and get started with a little bit about essential oils in general. I gave you my story. I told you our goal. And so I want to definitely emphasize that the only reason I do this with oils is because I use doTERRA essential oils. I wouldn't do this with any other oils. I trust doTERRA. They're the most tested and the most trusted. And so I know that what I'm putting on my body, what I'm smelling or ingesting is safe. So why doTERRA? There are a couple of fun, cool things about them. Well, 3 cool things about essential oils, doTERRA essential oils. First, they're natural and they're safe. That means that nothing has been added and nothing's been taken away. They are pure, and that makes them potent. They've been grown where they grow best, so they are potent. So you want to treat them with respect. But they not only have no side effects, like I was sharing with some of the medicines that I would take where I was a zombie, essential oils really don't have any side effects. In fact, they really have more side benefits, which is really, really neat. The next thing is that they are effective. I mentioned how I still had breakthrough symptoms. I'm almost 100% symptom free most of the time now. So they're really more effective. And again, without the side effects. Then the last thing is they're cheaper. A lot of times you're talking pennies per drop versus $30 or more for a bottle of something, or $30 more for a pill, So oftentimes they're cheaper. In fact, that little bottle I showed you that I rolled on my wrist, there's just 21 drops of oil in here. When you consider that a 15 ml bottle has 250 drops, I'll let somebody else who's a lot faster with math do the math of how cheap that could possibly be. So those are the three cool things about doTERRA essential oils. The other thing is 3 cool ways to use them. Again, I use them this way because these are doTERRA essential oils. They're pure and they're tested, and they also have what's called their CPTG rating. So I know that they're safe to use. So I will use them topically, which is what I did with the roller bottle when I just went ahead and put it on my wrist. I'm using it topically. It absorbs into your system right away when you do that. The other way you can use them is aromatically, either in a diffuser or I saw some of you, like Amanda, put a drop in her hand and she rubbed her hands together and she cupped her nose and she breathed in. That's one way to use them aromatically. You can also put them in a diffuser. That's another way to use them aromatically. Just a couple of ways. The other way to use them is internally. And like I said, doTERRA essential oils only I would use internally. You can literally use them internally. Put them in your water, put them in, you can cook with them. You can put them under your tongue, let them sit there. You could even just put them in your mouth and swallow them. So again, doTERRA essential oils are the only ones I would do that with. I do just want to mention real quick, if you do have symptoms that seem to be getting out of control or anything like that, doTERRA oils are great and I trust them and I have had great success with them. But if you ever feel like your symptoms are getting so far that you feel like they might be getting out of control and you're not finding relief at all with the essential oils, please feel free to go to the doctor if you have to. I respect doctors, and there's a place for doctors. They're great to give you diagnosis, let you know where you're at and what's going on so that maybe you could treat it with oils. But if there's a need, by all means, that's what they're there for. I strongly believe that you can resolve about 80% of your simple health solutions with essential oils. So there is a place for doctors. So just throwing that out there in case, you know, your symptoms cross the line where you need to see a doctor. Awesome. So I am going to jump into a little bit of science. That was just a little bit of a background as to why oils and why doTERRA. I will confess I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to science and stuff. So if the terms get a little crazy, just bear with me for a little bit. We'll get to your 3 oils for your first line of defense. We'll get there and it'll get a lot easier, but just bear with me. So I'm going to switch over my screen just to talk a little bit. So if you guys want to take some screenshots, you know, because this will sound a little scientific-y, feel free. But I'm hoping this won't take too long to switch over. It was a little slow. But oh, I mentioned, why am I out here and why is my internet slow? Because I'm out here because I can be, because I am symptom free. Right now, and because I was using that little roller bottle that I put on at the beginning of the class on my wrist. So that is why I can be out here. This is actually the tail end of the worst of my season. So it's a really good feeling to be able to stand outside and know that you're not going to be sneezing or sniffling or anything like that. So all right. So the first thing I want to talk about oils and how to use oils to help with your seasonal attacks. Monoterpenes. Those are a family of essential oils. They have been shown, well, let's start here. Because of their smaller size, they tend to be broken down more quickly in our system. They, because they're so much smaller than some of the other essential oils, they actually fit within the membranes of our cells. And because essential oils are oil-based, they can get through that membrane and they can actually get into your cells and affect your cells from the inside out. So they're very potent. And because of that, because they're so smaller and they can get into those membranes and get into the cells from the inside, they do get absorbed very quickly into your system. And so I do find when I use my little roller bottle that it only takes about 10 minutes at most for me to see results. And that's because these monoterpenes are just getting into those cells and activating quickly. So why monoterpenes? There is a study, and I have the link on this little slide. There is a study, a German study, that showed that there's 3 chemical constituents found in the monoterpene family that are particularly good for respiratory support. That little study, like I said, is on the bottom of your screen there. And so the three chemical constituents in particular that we can look for to help with seasonal effects and getting support for that are limonene, cineol, which is eucalyptal, and alpha-pinene. And then another great one that's also monoterpene, but it wasn't part of this study, is linalool. And I'll get more into these in a second. I just wanted to throw those names out there for you. All right, so limonene. Limonene is the major constituent found in citrus oils. It's very cleansing. So you know what? I'm going to stop my sharing a second. I just realized I skipped ahead into the sciencey part because I love the sciencey part, but I needed to talk about something before that. So hold that thought about monoterpenes and let me stop a second. Before we even get into allergies and using essential oils, we need to take a step back and we need to understand seasonal effects and the symptoms. I like to think of allergy symptoms as overflowing from a cup. So we all have a cup and we all have so much that we can fit into that cup. And so whatever's overflowing is going to be those symptoms of stuffy nose, itchy eyes, a scratchy throat, all that kind of stuff. So you want to try to control what you can control so that you can manage better what you can't control. So the less that goes in that cup, the less that's going to overflow is basically what I'm getting at. So there are certain things that we can control in our lives. For example, my oldest son was allergic to pets, to dogs in particular. So when he was growing up, he had a lot of symptoms that he dealt with because we had a dog. So we made sure that his room, and we couldn't get rid of the dog, by the way. We had to keep the dog and we couldn't get rid of the son. So we kept both. So, good mom. So we kept both. So what we did is we made his room a safe room. We made sure the dog didn't go in the room. We would clean his comforter often and throw it in the dryer to make sure we killed the dust mites. We would dust his room often and vacuum, and so that room was his safe zone. So when he was sleeping, he at least had 12 hours of peace from that effect on him. We also did that with the house as much as we could. We vacuumed, we dusted, we tried to keep everything, as clean as possible. We also avoided fragrances and anything that would maybe set off his symptoms so that there was less going into that cup, so that the stuff we couldn't control, like when he did play with the dog or when he went outside and he was confronted with pollen or flowers blooming or whatever else was out there, there was more room in that cup for those things. So he had less symptoms. So those are things that we can control in our environment. Another thing that we can control is things like our sleep. We can't always control stress, but we can control sleep. And if we can control sleep, we can handle stress better. We can handle any stressors on our body like pollen or outside effects even better. A couple of things that lack of sleep can lead to our not being able to deal with stress. So we're a little crankier. We might just be prone to not being a happy person because we're very stressed and we can't handle the stress, or it could even lead to a compromised immune system. So we want to be able to support ourselves. And if we can't get the sleep we need, there are other ways we can support ourselves. So for example, doTERRA has On Guard. It's a blend of a number of oils that is an awesome way to boost your immune system. So really year round, this is a great oil to use, particularly around cold season, but even around seasonal allergy time, it's a good way to just boost your system so that when you are having symptoms that are the effects of the stuff in the air, this can help your body fight it and keep it from becoming something worse where you need to end up going to the doctors. Another great product that doTERRA has is the Lifelong Vitality. That is just a formulated blend of supplements that will help your body be super healthy from the inside out. It gives your body everything it needs for energy, for cellular support, for your brain, for your cells, for everything. And so you're basically feeding your body good stuff from the inside out, so your oils can use that and your body can use that to stay healthy and boost that immune system so that now we can actually deal with all the stuff coming and bombarding us from the environment. So now we can move on to science. Now that we know a little bit about controlling our environment. So I'm going to share my screen again. And we talked about the monoterpenes and how they are really awesome because they can get inside our cells and work with that LLV and with the On Guard and other things to really work from the inside out. Um, and I mentioned three. So the first chemical constituent we're looking for is limonene. Limonene is found in citrus oils, among other oils, but it's super cleansing. So when we get those seasonal attacks of like pollen or anything else, dander, anything else, dust that might bother us, the cleansing properties in the citrus oils and the limonene will help flush that out of our system. So that's a great one to have. Like I said, it's found in most of the citrus oils, but it's also found in black pepper, celery seeds, spearmint, and dill, um, among other ones. The next one mentioned is cineol. Cineol is another name for eucalypto, which is found in eucalyptus, and it helps open up airways. Eucalyptus and cardamom have the cineol, among other oils, but peppermint also has it. These are great oils, again, to help open up those airways, and they give you a feeling of like, I can breathe. Um, the third one was alpha pinene. Alpha pinene is that distinct pine tree smell. You could smell it when you're walking through a forest. It is the primary chemical constituent of rosemary, frankincense, cypress, juniper berry, helichrysum, and it's also in tea tree. So these are all great oils. If you can get a blend of these oils with a little bit of all three, that's great. And if you notice, I've mentioned a couple of oils twice. That's because essential oils have a very diverse um, chemical makeup. And so oils are made up of more than one of these sometimes. So if you can find an oil that has a couple of different ones, that's a great oil then to try to combine into some sort of blend that might help you. A last one that isn't mentioned in that study, but is great for allergies as well, or for seasonal attacks, is linalool. Linalool can be found mostly in lavender. Petitgrain, even though it's last on my list, is a great one too that has linalool, but you also find it in basil, bergamot, cilantro, clary sage, coriander, and magnolia. And so I'm going to stop sharing here a second. Awesome. So those are just some of the chemical jargon just to throw out there so you guys have an idea. If you really start getting into the chemistry of oils and this is your thing, you can start looking for those buzzwords to help you figure out like which oil would I want to try. Sometimes oils will just kind of call your name and like I kind of have steered a little toward magnolia, and that seemed to really help for a while. So you can change up your recipes and your blends that way by kind of looking up those buzzwords. And so I mentioned a couple of times first line of defense. So I have my little roller bottle. So when I started with essential oils, this was the blend that I started with. My first line of defense is lemon, peppermint, lavender. And when I was talking earlier today and getting this call ready, I mentioned I didn't have my lavender bottle to Amanda, and I still don't have my lavender bottle. But I have peppermint and I have lemon, and lavender looks just like it, but it's purple. So this little bottle has equal amounts of lavender, lemon, and peppermint. It's a 5 ml bottle, and you would want to put 7 drops of each, so no more than 21 drops. Really, with a 5 ml bottle, you want to stick to a max of 20 drops. So we cheat just by 1 drop, but 7 drops each of lemon, peppermint, lavender, and then top it off with fractionated coconut oil. And I kind of joked in one of my comments, I said, how do I use my seasonal support roller bottle during seasons of change where you get these symptoms? I said I use it a lot, and I did. When I started this, I committed to using my roller bottle twice a day when I had no symptoms, so morning and evening, starting February 1st, because that's when my season starts. And then I would just take this bottle and I put it in my pocket. So I'm guessing all of you, it's Sunday, got up and got dressed and put some nice clothes on. So you probably have pockets, or you see me moving my shoulders because I'm sticking my hands in my pockets. So you guys all stick your hands in your pockets. You usually have a pocket or a little pocket if you're wearing jeans. This little roller bottle will fit in there. And I literally carried it with me everywhere. I've had a few people, I'm looking at names, and oh, Renee is here. I'm going to call you out, Renee. I'm sorry. I told Renee, after Renee was working with her a little bit with allergies, to put it by her computer. So wherever you're going to use it, I kept it in my pocket because I happened to be running around a lot, and so I needed it somewhere close. Um, but put it where you're going to see it every day. And I would use it the minute I sneezed. I put a little bit on my wrist. The minute my eyes got itchy, I put a little bit on my wrist. When my throat started itching in the back, you guys who have the same symptoms, I do know what I'm talking about. You stick your tongue back there all awkward and you scratch it because you don't know how else to get back there to scratch the back of your throat. I would put some on, and within about 10 minutes, I would find relief. So that's the key with essential oils. You want to use them little bits more often throughout the day because that's how you're going to yield better results. So this was my first line of defense. So lemon, peppermint, lavender, equal amounts. 7 drops. I'll put up a slide in a little bit, but I just wanted to verbalize for now. Lemon, peppermint, lavender, 7 drops each in a 5 milliliter bottle, and use it throughout the day as much as you need it. Another great place to put it on besides your wrist is the bottom of your feet. Because remember I mentioned the monoterpenes are really small and they could really penetrate those cells. When you put it on the bottom of your feet, it absorbs within 20 seconds, and within 20 minutes, it's all through your body. So bottom of feet is a great place to put it. That's what I actually would do in the morning, and at night I would put it on my feet, and then throughout the day I would put it on my wrist because it'd be a little awkward to throw my shoes off at work and put it on my feet. So that's what I would do. So let's say you're using your first line of defense, but you still have a couple of breakthrough symptoms. So then my next boost to help with, maybe I was still kind of getting some sneezing or some itching, or maybe I was getting a little bit of constriction in my airways, then my next line of defense is breathe. Breathe is another great oil. It's actually a blend of different oils. It's got laurel leaf, eucalyptus, peppermint, melaleuca, lemon, cardamom, ravinsara, and ravensara. So those are all great respiratory oils. I'm sorry, somebody's doing something out here. If you guys can hear that, let me know. I'll move inside. And so breathe was my next line of defense. And I would just take breathe and I would put it a drop on my hand, just like that. And just a curious little fact, your reflexology point on your hand for your lungs is right around there. So I would put the drop there, rub my hands together, and just breathe in. And oh my gosh, I could just feel my airways opening already, even more than they were already. And 2 years in, excuse me. So I would just do that, and I would find that extra little boost would be enough to get rid of those breakthrough symptoms. Another idea, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, is even pulling out individual oils that are in that blend. Sometimes using those oils by themselves could be enough to kind of get you over that little bit of a breakthrough of symptoms. Cardamom is another great one that you could put like on your chest, or same thing, put a drop on your hand and breathe in. If you are having that issue of constriction in your airways where you can't breathe and you're wheezing, eucalyptus is a great oil to help open up those airways and kind of calm down that attack. Another little tidbit that my son gave me was, sometimes when you get those restrictions in your airways and you feel like you can't breathe, you might get a little panicky, especially littler ones might panic a little and not be able to calm themselves down to kind of get their breath back. He suggested using Balance or Adaptive, some of these calming oils. So Balance and Adaptive are awesome oils for calming. Balance and Adaptive, those are great to just kind of just calm your brain down and calm your just your mood. So he said when he has those restrictions in his breathing and maybe panics a little bit, he does the Balance to kind of calm him down, and then he can kind of take control again of his breathing and get himself calm again, and then he was not panicky, and it doesn't scare, kind of get him hyperventilating, which could happen. So eucalyptus, to help open up those airways. Copaiba is another oil too that's great for inflammation. So he puts copaiba on his chest to help reduce the inflammation in his chest and to get the airway going again. So that is also calming. Cardamom is also calming. So if you're having that kind of attack, those might be some oils to look at. The other breakthrough symptom you might have that I sometimes get is inflammation in my nasal passages. So if you are having issues with inflammation, another thing that I use as kind of my third line of defense is a blend of copaiba and deep blue. Copaiba is great for inflammation, and so is deep blue. So I would do about 10 drops of each in a little roller bottle and top it off with fractionated coconut oil. And I roll that right on the sides of my nose. If I'm feeling congestion or stuffiness up in my forehead, I'll put a little bit there. And if it's in my ears, I'll put a little around my ears. And then that helps to kind of just lessen that inflammation, and then you could breathe again and things can get moving. A very final line of defense. if you haven't been able to control maybe some of the symptoms and stuff is starting, like your mucus is starting to get stuck up here and you need to get it out and it won't come out, the last line of defense that I use is digestion. So the way digestion was described to me is it moves stuff that's supposed to be moving and is not moving, or it stops stuff from moving that's not supposed to be moving. So not only does it work that way with digestive issues, but it works that way with that mucus that gets stuck up here. So I do find that personally, I am a little sensitive to digestion, so I do really like to use it diluted, not full strength. So I might put a drop in my palm and then a little bit of fractionated coconut oil, and then I put that over my nose, over the bridge of my nose, maybe up here, maybe a little bit on around my ears, if that's where I'm feeling congested. And usually within minutes, everything starts draining. So that would be the third line of defense. Another product I forgot to mention was if you love your little roller of lemon, peppermint, lavender, and sometimes like rolling it on might just not quite be enough. If you need a little bit more, doTERRA does sell this blend already pre-made in soft gels called Tri-Ease. So some people find that having the roller and taking Tri-Ease is a good blend or a good combination to keep their symptoms under control. So that's one to look at. All right, so I do a lot of oils at you, and a lot of different information. So let's say you're like, hey, I've done all this stuff and I'm still getting symptoms. It's still not working. What do I do now? Well, I'm going to share my screen again, and I was going to give you maybe just a couple of ideas that might help. So if your first line of defense isn't working, my first suggestion is be patient. Every body is different and every oil is different. And so sometimes you just need to try a different oil. Sometimes maybe lemon, peppermint, lavender is working for 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's not working. Maybe it's just a different season and you're reacting to something different that's in the air. So just try something different. You could replace lemon with just about any of the citrus oils. Tangerine is great. Grapefruit, it's like almost all limonene. Lime is great. So just try the different oils, look through your books and see, get with the people who invited you here and see if they have any suggestions of a different lemon or a different citrus to use. A good replacement for lavender would be like petitgrain or cardamom. So you could try to add that instead in the blend, replacing lavender. Peppermint, instead of peppermint, you could do eucalyptus, or I spelled Siberian wrong, or you could do Siberian fir instead. So any one of those, changing those up, maybe adding an oil. Melaleuca was one of the oils we threw the name out there, tea tree. Maybe do lemon, lavender, peppermint, and Melaleuca. Just lower the drops of the lemon, peppermint, lavender a little bit, so you can add a couple of drops of Melaleuca. And then there are other oils that I didn't even mention that you might come across. For example, I came across in the description of blue tansy that it could give support for respiratory, or it could give respiratory support. So I was like, Blue tansy. I happen to have blue tansy. I like how it smells. So I made my lemon peppermint lavender with a couple of drops less, and I added just 1 drop of blue tansy. And that seemed to be like fun and different. So sometimes just trying a different oil, your body will be like, oh, I like that, and will respond differently. So it just, work with the people who invited you and work with different oils to see what might work for you. It doesn't have to be lemon peppermint lavender. It could be other stuff. The other thing I mentioned too was using individual oils. So like breathe, you can pull out laurel leaf and maybe just try that by itself. The other oil in here that doTERRA recently gave as a free oil of the month was Ravensara. That's another great one that you can pull out and try that one by itself and see. So sometimes pulling an oil out from a blend is a great way to see if that gives you that little bit of added support that you need. All right, I'm going to stop sharing a minute. So hopefully this is helping. This is giving you guys some ideas. I will just throw out there that what worked for me was the bare minimum, was the lemon peppermint lavender and breathe. So but I know that sometimes you do need a little something different. So, but I haven't given that to anybody and it hasn't worked yet. So that's why I'm just so passionate about it. Like it just seems to work. So I hope that that works for you guys as well. Before I keep going and talking, because I've talked a lot and I've thrown a lot of information at you guys and names and oil names and all kinds of stuff, is there anybody who wants to share maybe one of their testimonies? I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but if anybody wants to pipe up, I'm willing to, or Amanda can unmute you and you can share a testimony. Does anybody maybe raise their hand or say me in the chat and Amanda will unmute you? I think Tina wants to share
Yeah,
something.
I was feeling kind of some tightness. I have had asthma all my life. It's much better than when I was little, but yes. But I my rescue inhaler is used so little that when I was getting to the bottom of it and there were like 10 doses left, and I was going through I didn't have this little workshop. I should have had it back then. That was just back in the fall. Things had kicked up and I was using the inhaler more, maybe even once a day for a while. And so it's going down. I thought, I've got to go get to a doctor so I can get this refilled. I haven't seen my pulmonologist in a while. And so I finally had an appointment. She refilled that. So it's albuterol. So I got the albuterol and I had it, but once I got the new one, it was like I wasn't using it that much, and whatever had been around eased up. So that was good. But then the other night I thought I felt some tightness and I thought, oh, I hate to get that out again. And I looked in the essentials book, the big one. I have that. And I looked under asthma and it suggested a quick thing is put lavender. And I had a roller lavender on my chest. So I put I love the lavender anyway. So I put it, lavender, okay, on my chest, and I was diffusing breathe because I like that for them. And the tightness eased up. So it's kind of that's great adding because the lemon and the peppermint I put in my water every day. I have a drop of peppermint and a drop or two of lemon along with some real lemon juice. And it's just like the water's so awful now without the drop of peppermint and the lemon. And so I'm getting that internally. And then, anyway, it worked for me too. So
Yay,
I'll have to try the roll.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. And that's actually something I didn't get into that much, but yeah, using them topically, aromatically, and then internally, a great way to use them is to put some lemon in your water. In fact, if you do lemon in your water throughout the day, Peppermint in your coffee, if you're a coffee drinker, is fabulous in the morning. So you get a drop of peppermint in the morning, some lemon in your water throughout the day. I don't particularly care for the taste of lavender. So if you throw lavender in a gel cap and take it as a gel cap, you've got all three internally besides using it topically. And then if you're diffusing it as well, it's just a trifecta. You can't go wrong doing that. And worst case scenario, you get the side benefits of these amazing oils. And if it doesn't work, you can look for other stuff to help add to the benefits. I know I saw Sandra saying something. Let me see. I'm trying to see what she said. Uh-huh. Yep, cats and dogs. So her little one is allergic to cats and dogs, and so she's there's no need to avoid this. Uh-huh. Okay. So anybody else have anything they want to share? Any testimonies? If not, I can share some more. I have a couple of more testimonies. My husband, for example, was on one medication that he would take for his seasonal attacks. He took it year round. He didn't stop taking it at all, whether he had symptoms or not. So he was on this medication for years, and then when he had breakthrough symptoms, still breakthrough issues, he would get on that other medicine that you spray into your nose. And so one year we said, well, let's go ahead and try to get you off. So we got him off of the spray first, and then we weaned him off of the medicine, and he is now free of all of that. And that he's going on a good whole year now that he has been not using any medications for his symptoms. And I see him run into the room every now and then throughout the day, and he rolls his allergy stuff all over himself and runs back to his office. So he knows it works. My son also, I mentioned him. He's got same thing with the dog still and animals and all his issues. He lives in Buffalo, so he has a very small window when it's really bad, but unfortunately that window is in the summer, and where he lives, he doesn't have AC, so he has to have those windows open so they don't die of heat exhaustion in their house. And so he does the diffusing of the eucalyptus at night, and when he feels like it's getting really bad, he does all the things that I mentioned to you guys for those breakthrough symptoms or like those emergency type situations. And he has been good. He actually doesn't have an emergency inhaler in his house right now. So he's got to make the oils work, and he does. He does a great job of being proactive with his health. And there's a couple of others. I won't call anyone else out here, but I know of at least one person on the phone here that I helped get off of their allergy medicine. And I have to say, like I said before, there isn't a person I've given lemon, peppermint, lavender to in a roller and showed them how easy it was to just roll it on their wrists or roll it on their feet that didn't get some relief. So awesome. If nobody else has anything to share, let me see if there's any questions real quick. Is there a protocol to use the lavender lemon peppermint combo, particularly routines? So I think I might have mentioned a little bit about how I used it in the morning and the evening. So the way it started was Amanda very generously gave me a trial of lemon, peppermint, lavender, and I sort of used it here and there. And I saw relief when I used it, but I didn't use it consistently. So I was still having symptoms, but it was my off season. So she kept asking, so how's it going? Have you had an opportunity to use the roller bottle? What did you think? How did you use it? And I kept saying, it was good. I see relief. I know it works. So finally I said, okay, my allergy season starts February 1st. And it goes through April 30th. I will start using it faithfully, and I did. So not this February, but last February 1st, I started using it twice a day, no matter what, whether I had symptoms or not. So it was kind of already building up in my system, I guess it kind of felt like. But I used it in the morning and at night, and then as my symptoms got worse is when I started carrying it with me everywhere. And it was just a matter of using it when I felt the symptoms. And I would say my first year, I probably struggled more, and I don't know if it was a little bit of I wasn't quite on LLV yet, and so my body didn't have that extra support from LLV, or if it was just the first year and I was trying, like my body was still like, what are you doing not giving us, over-the-counter stuff? But I did struggle, so I did a lot of like the lemon and peppermint in my water and lavender and gel caps. I even tried to drink the lavender if I was desperate. Sometimes I would do a straight drop of lemon, peppermint, and lavender on my wrist instead of the roller bottle to get like full strength. And sometimes I would have to do the breathe a lot more. But compared this year to last year, this year was a lot smoother, a lot easier. I didn't have as many breakthrough days where it felt like I was struggling a little bit more. It was a lot smoother. Just the difference. And other than the LLV, the only difference is it's been a year that I've been using the oils consistently. So I hope that answers a little bit of that question. Danny diffuses breathe. Yep, and it helps them. So diffusing breathe is great. My husband and I actually diffuse breathe and on guard every night. That's our just do it every night. So we sleep better, we protect the germs and all that kind of stuff. So that's our every night thing. I love breathe in the diffuser. Alrighty. So you guys know your first line of defense. It's lemon, peppermint, lavender in a roller. You guys know what to do and different suggestions now you have for what to do for like breakthrough symptoms or for changing it up if you need to change it up. So let's take a minute to talk about the 3 ways to purchase these oils. You can purchase these oils if you don't have an account with us. You can purchase them retail, which is probably the worst way to buy your oils. They are more expensive that way. Usually you only do that if you go to like a spa or a doctor's office. And really, I wouldn't want anybody on this call in this class to buy retail because really friends don't let friends pay retail. You just don't do that. The second way you can buy them is wholesale. It's kind of like having a Costco account. You pay an annual fee and then you get access to all the products at a reduced price. So with doTERRA, it's $35 for an annual membership and you get 25% off automatically all the products. And the third way is to get them at below wholesale, which is the only way I buy my oils, but we can talk about that later. And so I mentioned the annual fee. There is a way to eliminate the annual fee, and that's by buying a kit. And I actually wanted to just take a minute to show you guys 3 kits that I would recommend, particularly for what we've been talking about here. So I'm going to share my screen again in a minute. So what's neat about the kits is that they are already bundled for you, so you can already get a great savings from the kit instead of paying the full price for all the oils. So the first kit that I would recommend, this is actually my #1 recommendation because it has everything you need except eucalyptus. It has pretty much everything I mentioned. You got your top 3 there: lemon, peppermint, lavender. You got balance and adaptive for those times when you need to like relax because you have an attack going. There's copaiba and deep blue for when you have inflammation going on, and there's on guard to support your immune system. So pretty much everything that I mentioned is in there, plus the eucalyptus, and you get a diffuser and you get your $35 membership fee waived. And so that one to start a new account is $249. The next option, which if you have a diffuser already, I think this is a great option. Again, it has everything you need except just a couple of oils. It's missing the On Guard, the Deep Blue, Balance, and Eucalyptus. Balance is missing, but you do get adaptive. So adaptive is also great in calming. So really you could have either or. You don't have to have both balance and adaptive. So that's why I put a little asterisk next to it. And that one also waives your fee, and it's $150 wholesale. And the last one that I would recommend, it's my 3rd choice. Oh, I forgot to change the name on that. Sorry. This one is called the Simple Solutions. It is 5 ml bottles, and it has everything except copaiba, balance, or adaptive, and eucalyptus. But notice it's 5 ml bottles, not 15 ml bottles. So you're getting less, but you are still getting a diffuser. And this one's $160 wholesale. But what's neat is all these 3 kits, they do waive your annual fee. So it is an additional savings, plus the savings that you're getting from having it bundled. The bundles are always cheaper, so it just always makes it a better deal. So I will highly recommend that you guys get back with whoever invited you to this class, whether it was Amanda or Jasmine or myself, maybe Marie invited you. Whoever invited you, get back with them, or if you want to get with me, that's fine too. You can get my phone number from maybe whoever invited you. I'd be more than happy. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. about anything. I love talking about essential oils and seasonal attacks, so I can help you, talk to you about it. And I do just want to mention there are three types of people. So there are people who will be sitting in this class watching this that are just users. They just love the oils. They will use them. They are committed to a natural lifestyle. And maybe they want to share these oils with some of their closest friends. And that's it. That's perfectly fine. We can support you with, when you open your account, we have ongoing education classes that we will support you to learn how to use your oils and how to make the best of them. That's great. We love you guys. The next type of person who uses oils is like a sharer. They got the oils, they love them, and they want to share with like their friends and family, but that's about it. They don't really want to do much more with it. They just feel like people should know and should be their friends and family, and that's it. And you guys, you can support as well with education, as well as maybe some some kickbacks for being a sharer. The final person is someone like me, not necessarily when I did my first class or when I first used oils. I signed up just wanting to be a user, but once I got through my first season without any over-the-counter meds, and then I remember it because I went to California. We went to this bucket list trip that I just had a blast at, where I got to walk in the woods without any medicines. I just used my roller. It was amazing. I would have been dying normally under any other circumstances. So I had a fabulous time in this trip doing these things that I never thought I could do without any symptoms. And then we were on the plane coming home, and people were sneezing and scratching their eyes and coughing on the plane. And I looked at my husband and I said, would it be inappropriate for me to kind of go up and down the aisles and give people some of my roller so that they could see the difference? That's when I knew I had to do this for a living. I had to share this with people. Fortunately, my husband said, no, it's not appropriate. You need to stay sitting down. So I didn't get myself thrown off the plane or something like that. But I knew I had to tell people. And that's, I hope you feel my passion. Like, I know this works. It's worked for me, and it's worked for a number of people that I shared it with. So I hope you guys will recognize that too. And if you feel like you can't keep yourself from sharing this with everybody, get with Amanda or me or whoever invited you here, and we will support you as well to get to wherever you want to get to with doTERRA. So I think we can stop the recording there. If you want to start opening it up to questions, this might be a